right, guys, we're back with the music of the Northwest. I'm here at Supernatural Sound in the B Room. I'm with the man, the myth, the legend. I would say leave it to Beaver, but a matter of fact, I'm here for the Beaver t-shirt plug. Trent Beaver, he's joining us today.
What's going on?
Coming out.
You need to stop with that man, myth, legend stuff. I don't know who's lying to you.
Everyone, apparently, man. Killing it out there. The Facebook and is just going nuts. I see you performing, it seems like every night almost. Feels like it.
Feels like it. Feels like every night.
Oh, man. All right. How are you? How are you doing?
Tired.
Yeah?
No, I'm good. I'm really good. I really can't complain. Family's good. Music's good. Day job's good.
That's
great.
great.
I still got one of those.
Yeah,
so,
day jobs.
I mean, I'm not as where I want to be musically right now, but I'm getting there. So
yeah,
that's all I can really say about that. But I'm good.
Yeah, that's great. All right. How's family? You got family?
Yes, I do. Wife and a daughter. Daughter turns 4 in a couple weeks.
Woo.
Yeah, makes me feel real old. It's horrible.
Yikes.
She's got an attitude on her that straight up comes from her mom.
Oof. Make sure mom didn't listen to this.
She's not going to like this part of it at all. Anyway, no, she's great. She's a blast. She's got so much personality, and there's a lot of things she takes after me with. So like music, she's a very musical kid.
That's great.
And has an ear for it. She knows when I'm out of tune. She'll tell me, "Dad, you need to tune that thing."
Oof.
Yeah, already.
worst critic, biggest fan.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm excited to see what the future is with her music and how that all fits into her life. So.
That's awesome. Does your wife play?
She is a closet musician. So she's the kind of person that loves to play. No one will ever see it except for me. She won't even play for me, really. Like she finally, after 5 years of marriage, I heard her sing in the car.
Oof.
Yeah, and I really wanted to videotape it.
So like
she would have hated me for
5,
that.
10, 15, 20. So maybe 25 years down the road,
maybe
she might sing with a guitar.
Yeah, we might be the Partridge Family. I don't know.
Hey, nothing wrong with that. That'd be fun. So, man, that's awesome. Well, I'm really glad to have you on. It was kind of
good to be here, man.
Getting this whole project going and trying to figure out, what's happening here. It was really cool, and I was like, hey, do you think you'll come? I'll shoot him a message. We'll see what happens.
Of course I'll come, man.
Yeah, I'm really glad.
A long time.
Yeah, it's crazy. Well, I want to go back and do some musical past, present, future, kind of like walking through. So I want to go back to choir with Tim Friesen.
Ooh,
now
the good old days.
The good old days, yes. Now, hopefully, maybe you can help me with this. I'm trying to get him to come on the show.
I think he'll do it.
Maybe.
Yeah, he'll do it.
Especially if I can bring in enough people that'll put his name in there, then he doesn't have a choice.
Exactly. You're all over this podcast, man. So you got to come in and at least say something.
Yeah. Talk to me about choir. What was your first year in choir?
So that was kind of an interesting time for me. A friend of mine passed away in high school, and he was kind of the guy that dared me to do everything that I wouldn't normally do. Yeah. So like, I was very much against the choir because it was nerdy. I didn't want to be that. And so I dedicated my entire senior year to doing all the things that I said I would never do. And choir was one of them. And my buddy Andy Mills lined up the audition for me, which is awesome. Still friends with Andy today. I love the guy. So, if it wasn't for that moment, I would have never been a musician.
Wow.
So choir for me at that time was very important for my career today. Yeah. I didn't know I could sing. I never even tried.
Wow.
And even growing up in a musical family, my dad was a country singer. We lived in Nashville growing up. My dad never put that into our lives. He never encouraged us to be singers or even try, or even think it's a serious thing. So went in for an audition. 5 minutes in, Friesen asked me to be a part of Social Layers, which is that top end jazz choir that he had. And I was like, I don't think you sure yours are working today? And
the answer is yes.
It was a lot of fun. So I only did 1 year choir, but I learned so much in a short amount of time. Still can't read music today. And Friesen even asked me at an alumni event one time, he's like, did you even... how did you pass my class? You can't read music. I'm like, well, you gave me an A, so
yeah, you passed your class for me. I appreciate it.
No, he taught me a lot, and that man really does mean a lot to me in my musical career. I would owe a lot to him. He was very supportive, and he really did cultivate a side of me that I carry today on stage. That I owe a lot to the guy. So it's, never forget where you come from kind of thing, for sure. Yeah. So choir was awesome. I loved it. It was a good stepping stone thing for me to get into a new world that I had knew nothing about.
Yeah. So then you had choir, and that kind of kicked off everything. So then what came next?
Theater a couple months later.
We go.
One of those opportunities, it came through choir, actually. And the first time I ever did a play, and that was the most nerve-wracking thing. And I feel so bad. Andy, again, got me to do that. But that was the most nerve-wracking thing. And the teacher that was teaching at the time must have hated me.
Oh, no.
It's one of those situations where, like, I have no business being there. I have no business. The only reason why we were even considered, because we were in choir and we sang, and it was a musical. It was The Wizard of Oz, and I was the Tin Man. I got a lead role, which shocked me. I was expecting to be in the back. Yeah. And then my buddy Andy got the lion. So,
oh, man. So then you're just having a blast up there after it.
We had a month to try to memorize our lines, and we did none of that. And it just turned into, like, you had to buy a ticket every night to really get the full experience and get all the lines in, because we got to the point where we're a week out from this theater project, the Wizard of Oz, the opening night, and our teacher's like, hey, just get here, okay? Don't worry about the middle of it. Just, this is your opening line. Just get to this portion of the stage so we can get on to the next scene and the real actors come out. So, I mean, there were so many. They made these legs for me out of concrete tubes. Wow. The Fishers were awesome people that helped out a lot at our school. And Mrs. Fisher made me these concrete tube legs that I couldn't walk in. And there was a lot of walking. Yeah. To be done. So I almost fell down some stairs.
Oh, my.
Got in a bunch of trouble, basically. I'm surprised he didn't kill me. So
he just kind of went, what is going on?
Yeah, so that was the next step in my musical journey, was like, hey, I found out I could sing. Let's do this in front of a bunch of people.
Yeah, let's see if I can act too. Let's do it.
Yeah, screw it.
Man, that's so cool.
But it wasn't meant to be a comedy, but it ended up being a comedy. Let's just say that.
I love it. I love it. I could imagine it would be almost like a Whose Line Is It Anyway? Kind of every night's like...
It's just something different.
I got to get here, but getting there...
It was all improv, man. Like, just pulling out of our butts.
There we go.
It was awesome.
Oh, I would have loved to see that.
We were never asked to do anything ever again.
Hey, have some fun and not have to do it again.
Yeah, right? It was awesome.
That's a pretty good way to do it. So when did you pick up guitar?
About the same time. I mean, I had my mom bought me a guitar when I was younger. I really didn't. I played in some churches and stuff, just as background guitar. I knew like 3 chords. I mean, I really couldn't say that I was
definitely played in church.
Yeah, so I mean, it was easy. And when I got to a chord I didn't know, I just didn't play, and I went back in. It was one of those situations. Yeah. And so there was a little bit there, but I wasn't any good, and I didn't think that it was going to be something for me until I found out I could sing. Yeah. And then all of a sudden I found out that I could write. And then I just started writing songs and cataloging, and then finally got the courage to go to Clark's General Store for an open mic night with Joe Gibson and Zach Armstrong. Yeah. And that was the first time that I went up and played something that I wrote, that it was my thing, that, and that was huge for me. Yeah. That it just opened up a lot of doors because people didn't hate it. Yeah. So
it makes sense. I mean, I've listened to your music. I've known you. You were the OG when I got into choir. Like, you were that group of people. For us, it was the Sanctus choir. You guys all sang that big, beautiful Sanctus, and so we all looked and went, oh, those are the choir people.
You only knew, man.
Oh, man. And now I've become kind of one of those people to other people, and I go, same thing. Oh man, if you only knew.
We didn't pay attention.
But yeah, it's just that's so interesting. So did you have a first band, or how long did it take you to get into a band? Because that's lots of people go like
pretty immediately. So the same year that it was all pretty quick of finding out that I could sing and me getting on stage and singing something I wrote. Mm-hmm. It was the talent show, and I'm trying to remember everybody that was on stage with me. Zach Armstrong, I think Joe Gibson was up there with me. I think even there's a couple other people. It's been over 13 years. But I wrote a song, and then we went up and played it. And I remember it was horrible. Everybody was off key. Oh. I was singing way off key. I was so nervous. And but even then, people were pretty supportive about it. And I didn't know how bad it was, though, until I was at Joe Gibson's house, and his mom was like, "Hey, I got this video of you at the talent show," and she put it in, and all of us went, "Ugh." No, you can shut it off.
Yeah, just
so.
Oh man.
But after that, as far as getting into a band, was pretty immediate too. I jammed out with Joe and Zach quite a bit, and then. When I was in high school, there was a band called Alchemy, and it was Chris Friesen, Gabe Hillhouse, and the Troxel Brothers. And they were awesome. They won the Battle of the Bands in Portland. Wow. As high schoolers. I mean, they were the dudes, you know.
Yeah.
And I remember looking at that, and this was such a newfound love of mine. I was like, I want to be like that. And so I ended up finding myself in a band with Gabe Hillhouse right after high school.
Wow.
Which was awesome. And it turned into, I think we started off, it was me, Joe Gibson, and Gabe. And we were 3 acoustic guitar players. And we called ourselves Unstrung Symphony. It was super cheesy love song stuff.
Yeah.
And which was great, was very short-lived.
That band name is so awesome. I'm like digging that name.
Yeah, like that's all we did was sat in the room and we're like, oh, band names. Let's spend the next 3 weeks of our lives because we didn't have jobs.
Just figuring it out.
We had a long list of names, but we came up with Unstrung Symphony, and which is super just 90s sounding type.
Just
front on it, but it quickly became Sawtell, which was the very first real band that I was a part of. We had Isaac McKinley, Pete Delridge, which is a Malala grad, Gabe Hillhouse, and myself. And it was a 4-piece band, and we did a lot of really cool things. We had a pretty long run, and we did a bunch of really big shows. It was fun. It was a lot of fun. And then life happened. And then we kind of split off, and everybody started families. Yeah. And I moved to Hawaii for a bit, and kind of took hiatus. Yeah. And then the second rendition of it, met a bunch of dudes over there. Okay. Brought them back to Portland.
I remember this because you guys recorded another Sawtell record that had the song Cold War on it. And you guys came in when I was in Social Airs. And we recorded some backing vocals for that.
Yeah,
I remember that.
Was a lot of fun. I was working with Neil Engel at the time with that. Actually, the first 2 Sawtell records.
Yeah,
was with Neil Engel, and Neil lined it up with Friesen to bring in, to have you guys do the backing vocals, which was actually, to give you guys some props on this, was very much an impressive thing to watch, because the only person that could hear what was going on was Friesen.
Yeah,
you guys didn't have headphones. You couldn't hear the song. He just played something on the piano, looked at you and said, let's play it like this, let's do Oz, directed you. He had the headphones and counted it in, and you guys just followed him, which was, I was beside myself watching it. I was just like, wow.
That's so
These
crazy.
These guys are so much better than we were.
It almost makes too much sense, though, at the same time, because it's like, all we do is he plays pitches, and with Friesen, you have to stay in tune, and you just follow him. So it almost makes sense, but
that was just a testament of how good of a teacher he was, though.
Oh,
you're high schoolers, and to have that much control over that kind of choir is crazy. I don't think any other high school teacher could do that.
No, and the trust. It's just it's automatic. Like, I've gone back and visited a couple of times, and I'm sure you have too. And I've sat there and he'll play the ba-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. My eyes, I'm not even in his class. I'm 5 years removed on him. I'm sitting up straight.
I'm talking.
I'm like, oh, I didn't bring a pencil. Oh, wait, I'm not even in school. Like, oh, my gosh.
I mean, he definitely runs that room like a general, like he should. But he has a lot of care and takes the time to cultivate that out of each student, which ultimately gives you this awesome choir.
Yeah.
But that was the first time that I got to, because the only experience I had with that was being in the choir. So it was the first time I got to go and actually watch Friesen work on and not be a part of that.
Yeah.
And that was really cool to see. Yeah. And so, you know, I mean, you were on that record, right?
I was just thinking about that. I was scrolling through, like one of your Facebook pictures popped up when I was scrolling through my feed, and it had your merch table, and it had that Sawtell record on it, and I went, just everything just back.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my goodness.
That was a fun record. That was a lot of fun to do that one. Because it was a different flavor from what, you know, we originally set out to do in the original Sawtell. I mean, I brought these guys over from Hawaii that were a little more jazzy, a little more smooth rock kind of guys. And from there, we went on to some pretty cool stuff. We opened up for Art Alasakis for a run of shows from Everclear. Yeah. And that was fun. That was crazy to step out on stage in front of 800 people that were not there to see you. And you had to entertain them. It was cool.
Yeah. That's definitely like a stage presence thing, because they're not there for your music.
Yeah.
You just have to like grab them and go, hey, you're with us now.
Yeah, pretty much. And especially that show particularly, we went on after Art. So we were a supporting band afterwards. Oh. Because he had a specific time he wanted to be on stage and get off stage and all that kind of stuff, which was cool for us because we had the awesome opportunity to be in backstage with him and be the only band backstage with him. Yeah. All the way up until he went up on stage. So we got to sit down and talk with him about his past and all that and have that interaction, which was really cool.
That is really cool. Huh.
Which is, of course, my nerd self is just asking questions like, what's your process?
That's what chord was that? Oh yeah. Nerding out for days.
The dude had nothing but rock and roll answers, which is awesome. You know, he's been asked those questions a million times. So.
But they never shy away. People like that never shy away from those sorts of answers. They're just like, I got it. Man. All right. So then let's transition, because we talked about this a little bit earlier before we started recording. You moved out to Nashville.
No, Muscle Shoals, Alabama.
Oh, Alabama.
Well, it's Florence, Alabama.
Okay.
So I moved out there, had the opportunity. I took a hiatus, not really a hiatus. I just stopped playing for like 2 years after the last Sawtell broke up. And that was the time that I met my wife, and I wanted to focus on starting a family and getting that train moving. Yeah. And then I had the opportunity of the guy that I was working for at the time came up to me. He's like, so you just need money to do another record? I'm like, yeah. Yeah. And he's like, well, if you could go record anywhere, where would you want to go? And I said, Muscle Shoals, Alabama. And the reason why is I got shown this documentary called Muscle Shoals from my old guitar player back when we were Sawtell. And I loved it. I fell in love with it. I loved the amount of history that came out of Muscle Shoals, the amount of #1 hits that came out of Muscle Shoals, stuff that people don't realize all came from one place. Yeah. And I fell in love with that. So when I told him, I said, I want to go to Muscle Shoals, and he goes, not Nashville? I'm like, everybody goes to Nashville. I don't want to be like that. Yeah. And so next thing I know, I'm packing up my stuff and moving across the country with a 6-month-old, a wife, 2 dogs, a cat, and a tiny little car, which I don't recommend anybody doing. Yeah, no. And I get there, and I think I was there for about 2 days. You know, we just got the rest of our stuff out of the U-Haul into the house, and I went knocking on Fame Studios' door and wanting to record there. And I didn't have anything set up before we left. I just went on faith that they would let me do that there and that we'd figure it out. Man. And the next thing I know, I'm sitting there playing songs for him, and next thing I know after that, I'm in the studio and I'm sitting in with some of the brightest minds in music in that area. And it was a crazy experience to move to Muscle Shoals, Alabama. Well, Florence, which is like right across the river. But from the studio to my front doorstep was 5 minutes.
Oh, wow.
So it was close.
That's awesome. Because you've done recording sessions here in the Northwest, done some down there. What is it? How different is it down there when you go to do a session? What does that look like?
It's different in the sense of it's not anything to knock the Northwest, because the Northwest has a lot of really awesome talent, a lot of really awesome rooms, and a lot of really awesome things have come out of this area. But when you get down there, they just do it differently. They approach music differently. They listen to music differently. They listen to, and not in the sense of CDs versus MP,
Yeah.
It's how they approach their minds. They're mindfully approaching music, which makes a huge difference in the way that music is portrayed. And so there's so much more that goes into recording music and getting music out into the world than people really realize. It's not just sitting in a room and you're recording. It has to click, down to the room.
Yeah.
And in the A studio and Fame Studios, they even have plate microphones on the walls because they believe that place is the sonic vibes of that place have a value to it.
Yeah.
So they're very spiritual about it in a sense, not sounding religiously about it, but it's interesting. It's really hard to put into words, to be honest. But what's really cool about it is that one thing that they do down there that's different is that it's just life. Music's life.
Yeah.
So that there is no ego or chip on the shoulder or anything like that. So when you walk into a room, I've only known the Northwest angst, grungy, get out of my way, I've done this kind of mentality.
Yeah.
So when I walked into the room and I'm sitting there with Neil Young's guitar player and all this other people, I'm like fangirling out.
Yeah.
And for them, it's just like, this is work. This is what we do. This is like going and punching in at work and, doing an 8-hour shift and going home. That's what it is for them.
That's so cool.
So that was crazy. And I think that came out on the record.
Yeah. Yeah. Talk about the record. Talk about the songs on the record. Talk about kind of if there was a moment where you went, oh, this is happening.
So it took a second for me to get into the groove of things because all the recording experience I had before was done ISO booth style, which is, everybody goes in, but one person records at a time. It's just efficient. That way, there's nothing wrong with it. But Fame Studios was all about capturing a moment. And that happened when we started recording Ghost. Ghost was very much a rock song, in your face, kind of upbeat. And they decided they're like, hey, let's try it. We did it 2 times. And then they're like, let's cut time it and see what happens. And totally different. And I have a short video on YouTube that just describes the making of Ghost and that process of it and whatnot. And it really did. That was the pinnacle moment of the record for me, was that I got to see these 2 genius minds at work taking one of my songs and making it better.
Yeah. And
that, for one, as an artist, takes a lot of trust. And at this point in my life, I was just like, screw it. Who am I? For one, I'm at Fame Studios right now. Do what you guys think sounds good.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it paid off. Ghost is an awesome song, and it really captures what I was trying to portray in the song as a writer. They were able to translate that correctly, and that was really cool for me. That was the fun process of it. And then the rest of the record is a lot of really good songs that mean a lot to me too as well. But Ghost was that song that just hit you in the gut. Yeah. And there's a portion actually of this song at the very end. There's like a jam out session, and that wasn't done on purpose. we were done with the. I was done with the song, and I looked up and they weren't. So they just kept playing and playing and playing, and then we ended up keeping it and just putting it on the edge. That's why that song's so long. But it was a magic moment that everybody was really just in sync.
That's so cool.
I looked up and everybody's eyes were closed. Nobody was following anybody. They were just feeling it. And that was awesome.
Yeah. So. Oh, man. That's cool. I was telling you this. Like, I was just listening to that record last night, and I'm starting to do this thing where I'm I'm purposely listening from records top to bottom now.
That's good practice to have.
Yeah, I always was the guy who's like, oh, I got to hit the favorite song and maybe I'll listen to the rest. No, it's
9 times out of 10, the artist is saying something from the beginning. Because for me anyway, like music, I'm glad you do that, by the way, because when I approach a project, there's a bigger story that involves all those songs.
Yeah.
So if you start in the middle,
you miss the beginning.
You miss the beginning. It's like just opening up a book and going, I'm going to go from chapter 4 on.
Yeah.
It's not going to make sense.
No.
So I'm glad you do that.
Yeah.
So.
And I've really been trying to focus on it.
Do.
Yeah. Let's see. Lightning Crashes, right? Mm-hmm. All right. That tune resonates with me.
Okay.
Now, this podcast is for everybody, but I'm going to have a selfish moment.
Okay.
Tell me about that song.
Lightning Crashes. Lightning Crashes is an interesting story. It's, for a long time, I've had this weird reoccurring dream. And the song kind of lays it all out there. It's actually black and white if you read the lyrics. This might make a little more sense now. Yeah. But I keep having this dream, and I still have this dream today, where I'm walking down this hallway or corridor, and I just hear this crowd getting louder and louder and louder. And then I turn down this hallway, and then I'm up on stage, and I grab my guitar, and I go to turn to the microphone, and I wake up every time. Huh. And it's the same every time. It doesn't change. And so that's why the Lightning Crashes comes in. It's that moment, that wake up moment, it's that lightning crashing, you know, that surge of adrenaline and, you know, oomph in a sense. So I wanted to put it down somehow, but how do you put down into words something that's not finished?
Yeah.
You know, in a sense. So I had to dance around a couple things.
Hey, it sounds that Ghost has this awesome, and this is obviously my opinion on everything, but like Ghost has this really cool, like you said, it's that really, it feels so organic and so like that ending jam is so cool. Mm-hmm. And for me, Lightning Crashes, like I don't know what it is, something about it. I think I relate on a sense of like, for me, I know I'm not done yet. As a matter of fact, for me, I'm not even starting. Like, it's like you picked up your guitar, you're about to strum that first chorus, like you haven't even started. Mm-hmm. It's like we're getting to that point now. Like, I don't know. And then the way the arrangement musically, I have to like close my eyes to like hear it in my head. Like there's just some things in there that just like hit me in such a way that like I was emotionally moved, which was just like some people would probably listen to it and be like, oh, that's cool, and then move on, and it would be a different song for somebody else. But for me, I was just like, whoa.
No, that's cool to hear. I mean, like being on this side of the conversation and hearing that as a songwriter, like that's what we want.
Yeah.
You know, if you're not trying to do that, then you're not in the right business.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I mean, the whole point is to move people.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that you connect with that, because that's it's actually the Ghost is very important to me, but and ultimately that one and Fight for Heaven are probably the most important songs for me personally that are on the record.
Yeah.
So it's cool that somebody else likes it.
Yes, I love it. So, all right, let's talk about you're in the studio currently, not
starting
just this
tomorrow.
one, but like you're going to go record.
Yes.
Is this gonna be an album, EP?
So this is gonna be an EP. I'm 3 to 4 songs depending.
Okay.
It's almost not an EP. It's almost just a demo. But this is I kind of announced that I was going to call it Freight Train, and now that I'm, you know, on the doorstep of it, I might change the name of it. And Freight Train's one of the songs that I'm going to be doing on it. And, I'm really excited to be working with Patrick Tatro at Feng Shui Studios in Vancouver and the Pride of the North Bank band. Yeah. Those guys are awesome. Yeah. They are tight. The everything about them. If you're listening to this podcast, go look up Pride of the North Bank. That's all I gotta say, and you'll know. I'm not even gonna try to put it into words. Yeah. But I'm going into Patrick Tatro's studio up there, and we're gonna be recording 4 songs. Freight Train is one of them. There's a song on there that means a lot to me from my childhood. My dad, like I said before, is a country singer. We lived in Nashville growing up. And he had some pretty awesome opportunities when he was in the industry too as well. I mean, he was writing with Mickey Newberry. Wow. And Mickey Newberry is the one that got him to move to Nashville. And, he did a lot of cool things down there and whatnot. But my Uncle Chuck Timpey wrote the song, and my dad recorded it back in the 80s. And now I get to have the awesome honor to be able to take the same song my dad sang, all those years ago, and put my own spin on it and do my own rendition of it. Yeah. And it's one of those songs that stayed with me, my whole life. And that is, I was doing a show with my Uncle Chuck not that long ago up at A-Lene. And he started that song, and I'm like, that's not your song. He's like, yeah, remember your dad recorded that one? I'm like, oh, I just hadn't heard it in a little while, so, I fell in love with that song, and now I get to record it and do my own, put my own stank on it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Oh, that's fun.
There's that one. And then there's a song that, I've tested out on 2 shows. So not very many people have heard it. It's brand new. It's called Rolling Stone.
All right.
And so I'm not gonna play it. I want to surprise people with it. It's pretty cool. Yeah. And then there's a song on there that I wrote at Fame Studios with Noah Shell. He was a staff writer there. Mm-hmm. And it's called Spark. And it's also another song I don't play very often, but it means a lot to me. So this whole record, this whole collection of songs, hits from my childhood all the way up until my most recent song. Yeah. And I wanted to compile. It was really hard to narrow it down to 4 songs to compile important songs for me. So I want to represent me now, me as a kid listening and what I got out of it, me and Muscle Shoals, which was a big part of my musical career. And then, I wanted to hit every point that I could. Because ultimately, as a songwriter and as a musician, you don't know how long this is going to last. Yeah. You don't know. I mean, you could always beat a dead horse. But, if I always go into the studio thinking this is my last record. Yeah. And I want to say what I want to say on it. So this record is, I'm really excited about it. It's the first time I actually walked in going, I'm doing this one for me. Yeah. I'm not trying to sound cool or trying to sound popular or trying to sound like this or that. I'm just gonna go lay down myself in a studio and leave.
Yeah, that's really cool. It's cool. Even since the first time I came and hung out with you at your work once, we kind of met up and hung out, and it was so cool hearing you talk about this project then and now. Just hearing you talk no, this one's for me. The emotion that's behind it. You can, once you start talking about the record, instantly I can hear your heart just jump out.
Well, that's one thing I've noticed out of going on 15 years of chasing this, whatever this is. Yeah. I wasted a lot of time trying to be something that I'm not because I thought other people would like it. Mm-hmm. And not necessarily changing myself completely, but I had, my focus was on not being myself 100% in my own style or my own flavor of music, or, I really pull from a lot of different things. But stylistically, I've always been told, do that, don't do that. Let's try this. It would sound more poppy, or it would sound more rock and roll, or people would like hearing this better than your original version. Yeah. And granted, there's always that in the studio. You always try to tighten up some areas. Some areas might not sound, the best, and that's why you get a producer, and he kind of helps you along. But it's important to find a producer that knows your intentions. Yeah, and shares your vision. Exactly. Yeah. So, when it comes to that, I mean, it's really important, and it's something that I've just gotten to that point in my life, and that time in my life right now where I don't want to do anything unless it's fulfilling myself with my heart of what I'm doing it. Because it takes a lot of sacrifice and a lot of, you go through a ton of crap in this industry. You get told no 9 times out of 10. You put your family at risk every time you go out to go play a show. because you're usually for sure sacrificing time away from your family, but you're also sacrificing a lot chasing a dream that the odds of you actually succeeding at is slim.
Yeah.
So I've gotten to that point in my life where I'm just like, you know what, this might be my last record. I don't know. And if it is, I'm going to lay it all on the table.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to leave anything behind. And, hopefully that'll move on to the next record, and that'll push to the next record and whatnot. And I also did something this time around that I told myself I would never do. And that's ask for help. To do crowdfunding, like this was the first time I did a fundraiser for a record, and I'm hoping it'll be the last time I ever have to do that this record will get me to the spot where I don't have to ask. But it was nice to know that there was a ton of people out there that want to hear it.
Yeah.
And that believe in what I'm doing. It's really easy to feel alone sometimes as a musician and as a songwriter, as somebody, an artist. It doesn't matter really what it is, but it's really easy to feel alone.
Yeah.
So it was nice to, anyway.
Yeah, no, that's
Not to go in a super deep area.
Hey, that's I mean, that's what it's all about. It's all about the heart. It's all about who you are, where you are, what you're doing, how you're feeling, helping, changing the world, really, one note at a time.
Yeah. Well, ultimately, I just don't want to be 70 years old going, man, I wish I would have.
Yeah.
I'd rather fall flat on my face and try than wonder.
Yeah, because once you're 70, you go, man, you sit back and you can laugh and go, man, I fell on my face. That was kind of, it becomes funny.
I drank way too much beer.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not, there's no regret. It's just, or it works out.
Yeah.
Then it works out. And man, that's so cool. I'm loving it. All right. Do a little hypothetical.
I like this.
Some hypothetical stuff.
Buckle in for this?
Yeah.
We talking about philosophy?
For some people, maybe. All right. So I want to know, if you were to line up, you had, all the money in the world, all that kind of stuff. If you could do one show, what venue would it be? And then I'll ask you, I have other questions to go with it.
What venue?
Any venue.
Oh. This is gonna be hard. This is gonna sound weird, but venue for me is gonna be smaller than what you think. Yeah, everybody dreams of that big, and I talk about that dream that I've been having about being in front of a big crowd. That's awesome, but my dream venue has no name to it. It really doesn't have a particular place. It's just my dream venue is wherever I can sit down in front of a small group of people or a big group of people and be myself and tell stories, like not just perform, but talk about it. Like what we're doing right now. Yeah. Just talk about music and the story of it and all that kind of stuff. So, but if I were to pick a venue, Clark's General Store.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Why would you pick that?
That's where it started.
Yeah.
And it's home. And you can fit maybe 20 people in there.
Yeah.
But that's my dream venue, is that I don't want to ever forget it.
Yeah.
So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. With that, so we're making this show at this dream venue. All right. If you could pick two other bands or artists to either open for you, just to be involved with the journey of that night, who would you bring along with you?
Ooh, so anybody.
Yep,
like influences,
anybody.
That kind of thing?
Oh, yeah. Could be anybody.
It's a hard one.
They don't have to match your style at all. It could be Justin Bieber if you're just like, hey, I want to hang with that guy for 10 minutes.
Absolutely not. No. Yeah, posters, don't come in. Let's see here. These are really hard questions, man. I wasn't prepared for this. Let's see here. Definitely Jason Isbell, Chris Stapleton.
Yeah. Oh, that would be
and
killer.
Then Colin Hay.
That would be a killer show.
Yeah, I'm adding names because I can't narrow it down to two.
No, it's okay. Oh, man. Oh,
Knowing that both of those dudes, all three of those dudes would sit and tell just the same amount of stories that I could, or, you know, would be able to do the same thing that I'm wanting to do with my music career, because they do it right now.
Yeah.
And they've built a whole career off of being storytellers.
Oh, man. That's so cool. All right. Now, with those guys,
Okay.
last part of the hypothetical.
Okay.
Who's your band?
Ooh.
Could be anybody. Could be John Mayer on electric guitar, but it could be
Another
anybody.
guy there, Dan Tominski.
Ooh.
But this goes into feeding into the Dan Tominski's band. Union Station. Alison Krauss? Union
Yeah.
Station? Union Station.
Nice.
That's the backing band.
I love it.
Their lap steel player. Oh,
Just,
yeah.
all things delicious.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
At Clark's General Store.
I love it. If we ever get to that point, we're going to make it happen. If we can ever get it to go.
You couldn't tell anybody about it.
Oh, no.
So it'd take 2 seconds to
Yeah,
fill
it'd
that place.
Oh, yeah. It would be nuts.
You'd have somebody with an iPhone going, you know who's there? Chris Stapleton is at Clark's General Store right now.
Done.
And packed.
Yeah. Oh, man. Oh, that's crazy.
So that's interesting. Thanks for putting me on the spot on that one.
Yeah.
That was hard.
Hey,
I was like literally emptying out boxes in my brain. Come on, I know.
look, there's
Answer.
something in there. Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah. That I'm still like running the like idea of that show in my head. I'm loving it. Man.
That would be fun. That'd be a lot of fun.
It'd be a lot of fun. All right. So let's move into kind of want to talk like, what do you have going on show-wise coming up? Where can people hear your music?
It really, as far as listening to music, you can hear Ghost anywhere. For everything from iHeartRadio all the way up to Pandora and Apple Music, all that stuff. That's all out there.
Okay.
As far as what's happening next, is really focusing just really on 2020. I have a few shows left this year, but there's a couple Alien shows in the beginning of next year. There's talk about possibly going on tour.
Ooh.
To kind of release this record.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say where yet,
No.
but there's been specific places that we've been talking about.
Yeah.
But we're really there's really not much left of this year besides focusing on getting this record out. Besides shows here and there, but really focusing on 2020 and making that the year. My goal is to be full-time music, not having to do the whole day job thing in 2020, by the end of 2020.
That's awesome.
I just partnered up with Bridgetown Productions, which is a friend of mine's company. They're going to be doing their production company, so they're going to be helping me with booking bigger, higher class shows.
Yeah.
And allowing me to stay busy with that. So between working with Patrick and doing these recordings, this isn't going to be the only recording I do with him. We're going to be doing a series of small releases like this.
Nice.
This is just the beginning of it. By the end of 2020, I think we're going to see some more music a couple different times.
Great.
With that. So it's just getting ready for 2020 is going to be the big thing for the rest of the year.
Yeah. All right. Social media platforms where people can follow you at all?
Facebook, Instagram. I had a Snapchat at one point in time. I got rid of it. I don't like it.
No.
You can find me at TrentBeaverMusic.com. That's really the landing spot. I'm really bad. I'm 100% a musician at keeping track of that thing. And I'm really glad that I have a company now that I'm going to be working with.
Yeah.
They can help me out with it.
That's awesome.
Usually I have shows listed there at TrentBeaverMusic.com. I have some music there, some videos there. The music video for Ghost. Mm-hmm. I started working on this thing like 2 years ago with some buddies of mine. And they're just about done. As I'm getting into another record. Yeah. Getting done with that to release that, which would be kind of nice to have anyway. Yeah. So music video for Ghost is actually going to be coming out about the same time.
That'll be awesome.
We get done with the recording the records. So.
Hey. That's awesome.
But that'll be on there. So basically, TrentBeaverMusic.com. Facebook, I'm always on Facebook. Go straight to my phone. Instagram too as well. So if anybody has any questions or wants to talk or whatever, just they can reach me there.
Yeah. All right. So we're gonna have you play a song.
Okay.
And then Yeah. And we'll definitely have you in another time. Or if you go on tour, when you go on tour, we might maybe even pull up to a show and steal you for 30 seconds or something and
For sure.
do a micro podcast while you're on the road or something.
That'd be a lot of fun.
Doing something.
I'm totally down, man. Anytime you just give me a call, I'm here.
All right. You got it, man. Thanks for coming out. Music sounds amazing.
Thank you.
I hope everybody gets to appreciate it and gets to give it a listen.
Yeah. Like and share, like and share, like and share. Thank you for having me on the podcast, man. It means a lot to be able to talk to somebody about what I'm doing and whatnot. And thank you for the opportunity to come in here and do this with you.
Of course. And we'll definitely have you back. Even if it's not on tour, we'll have you back and we'll do a check-in.
Sounds good, man.
All right. Thanks again. It's been Trent Beaver.
All right. This song is called Rambling Kind of Man. And it's a song my uncle wrote and my dad recorded back in the 80s. And I get a chance to do my own rendition of it on my next record. Just how mama loved him so. Hand me the bottle of right good, son. I got a story that never been told about the time he almost got whooped by 3 old boys with a 2x4. He always came out a winner, and them boys wouldn't see no more. He was a honky-tonkin', rambling kind of man, with a heart as big as the Oregon Blue Mountains. It's where he was raised, where he learned how to fight. It's where his daddy's buried now and his mama still resides. My mama's heart, but you never heard her curse his name. She said you gotta love people the way they are, or you might as well change your name. And even though when you get along too well, he taught me things that I needed to know. Things like life is way too short to live the past, you should let go. Now I'm a honky-tonkin', rambling kind of man, with a heart as big as the Oregon Blue Mountains. It's where I was raised, where I learned how to fight. It's where my daddy's buried now and my mama still resides. It's where my daddy's buried now and my mama still cries at night. Now I'm a honky-tonkin', rambling kind of man, with a heart as big as the Oregon Blue Mountains. It's where I was raised, where I learned how to fight. It's where my daddy's buried now and my mama still resides. It's where my daddy's buried now and my mama still cries at night.